All right, Joe, we are back. Another episode, another week. We did not do last week RBC Canadian and missed out on quite a storyline. We will get into that. I was off at Disney having a magical time with the family. You and I joked about it before we hopped on the show, but I feel like it's worth sharing. You asked me how it was, and I said it was wonderful. The kids had a great time. The wife had a great time. I had a very good time. But the people, the Disney adults. There's something wrong there. There's something fucking off there. If you listen to this show, I'm going to make fun of you for the rest of your life.
I might be married to a beach.
Well, so am I.
Yes.
So am I. But that's a wife with kids.
But
wife and kids is different.
Correct. Correct.
Would Taryn be a Disney adult on her own with you, no kids? It's like, Joe,
God,
never
I
had
hope
kids.
Not. God, I hope not.
I feel like it would be grounds for a conversation. I said to you, I can't believe or you said to me, actually, you can't believe these people, but they save every dollar they have to go to Disney. Everything is about Disney. And that was confirmed when I was there and I see some of these people walking around. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then it kind of dawned on me. I was like, well, there's like the Disney cruise type people. And then there's people like you and I who spend every free dollar on golf clubs, golf trips, and golf gambling. So does it really make us any worse? I'm just being judgmental, I think.
Different vice, but I'll take our vice over Disney any day of the week.
I feel like there's nothing weird about our vice. Our vice doesn't revolve around, like, I would not do my newlywed, I wouldn't do my honeymoon at a golf trip with my wife probably, but Disney, I saw several honeymoons and I was fucking baffled.
Listen, going over to PJ's Tour store and checking out latest clubs, nothing weird. Boys trips to different courses across the country or world, awesome. The only thing that we do that's probably a little weird, right, from the general golf population is that we're the ones that are paying attention to the Sanderson Farms event in October. But other than that, I think our passion is much more widely accepted.
I totally agree with you. I've speaking of going to PJ store and golf clubs and just dicking around, I built an indoor segment. There's a storyline on Bud Cauley and his putter, and it goes back to Ricky and Woodland and others. We'll talk about that. I will end my Disney trip. I thought it was kind of funny, and you would have, knowing me the way you do, you know that this would only happen to me. I was grabbing I was grabbing a drink at the at like the little bar outside of the pool. And there's some guy, the bartender looks like a complete, what you'd expect, like total alcoholic, just hitting on anything and everything. And some like couple comes up and they're doing like a honeymoon type of thing. And this is day one. I've been here like 15 minutes. And I turn around to the guy and I was like, I said this, I meant it. I wasn't even trying to be funny. And I was just like, so they say they're newlywed. They're here to stay for just married newlywed. This is where they chose. He's like, yeah, it happens all the time. And I was like, don't take this the wrong way. Is there like a part of this resort that's like got like a dress up cosplay fuck party that like I'm missing out on? Is there something I'm signing up for the wrong shit? And he just had like deadpan looks. And he's like, I'm sorry, what'd you say? And I was like, if a couple of adults chose to come here after they got married, my assumption is that they're gonna dress up. I was like, Elsa's gonna, and he's just like staring. There's no words.
I'm surprised.
And I get to see the people
I'm
next
surprised
to me.
I'm surprised you got to complete your Disney trip and they didn't just escort you off property for
No, Joe. They called the hard line in the room. It was Bob Iger's assistant. Yeah. So I want to speak to you. We have an idea. We want to pitch you. It's about building a cosplay Disney adult center at the back end of our. Yeah, I'm a fucking innovator. What do you want?
Oh my God.
Either way, it was hilarious and also just so me. And I was just, the whole experience was wonderful and also very revealing.
I feel like the Disney adult, they're kind of like the people that the regulars at a casino, right? They're like as soon as they got a paycheck, they're going to the casino. These people, as soon as they have a paycheck, they're going to spend it at Disney. And it's just
that would be
insane.
My Disney adult cosplay business would have slot machines, weirdo fires where people do seancey things and don't wear clothing. You got to have a nude beach there, obviously. You know, half the Disney characters don't even have fucking pants on, so it fits. I feel like I think it's.
Might be onto something. If no
I think
strokes doesn't work
I just
out.
figured it out, man. I figured it out. Well, I also did get a chance to watch, even though we didn't cover it on a show. I did get a chance to watch RBC a little bit in Canadian Open. I want to highlight this because you and I talked about it the last show. Did you catch on Sunday the Canadian anthem being sung to Wyndham Clark while he was on the tee, just trying to fuck with him, and watching him get irritated made me smile.
It was
so
much fun. I bet he was super stressed out and probably had to open up some grape after that round because he was, the Canadians were giving him a hard time. It's like even when he was trying to play the heel on Saturday, like he had the Jack Hughes knockoff USA jersey. It's just like, that like he doesn't want to engage with the crowd. It's like someone in his camp is like, hey, play this up. And like, he's trying, like, I think he's naturally unlikable. So I guess it's good that he's playing the heel. But like when he's intentionally trying to be the heel, it's just like, it makes me like not like him even more.
Yeah. I honestly, I can't tell if he's got a camp telling him to do this or if he's just up his ass so much, his own ass, that he just thinks it's funny.
Oh, he loves himself some way. He loves himself some Wyndham Clark. Like, and then Sunday he makes the birdie, he makes like the 30-footer, and then he does the I can't hear you. And it's like, dude, you're not Rory.
You're in fifth place.
Stop. Like, you've collapsed on Sunday and you're making a birdie that like doesn't matter.
He sucks. But I'll tell you what, the story wasn't about Wyndham. The story was Bud Cauley. This dude almost died in a car accident. What was it, 2018? This has been talked about for 4 or 5 days, so we don't need to go, crazy on it. It's just, you love to see these stories. Personally, I will never bet against or be not a fan of a guy named Bud.
Great name.
To me, it's like, you call me your name's Bud and we're probably buddies for the rest of our lives. I love the way he handles himself. I love how emotional he got. His family, the whole thing was just like, you can just tell all the tournaments finally to get across the line. And then also, he's like a normal, really highly touted, very talented golfer who had a thing happen that he had to overcome. There's no subline, there's no only wear sleeves, there's no mom, there's no 2 gloves, there's no fucking weird sidebar. It's just a grinder golfer who everyone loved, who has a ton of talent, who had a major setback that almost cost him his life. He's grounded out for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 300 plus tournaments, whatever, and finally
without
wins.
A win, yeah.
And he finally wins. And he played his ass off Sunday, and he had that stretch on, 12 through 14. It was like 3 birdies in a row, 4 birdies, whatever it was. And it was like, yeah, he took the tournament. And for me, I looked at I was watching on Sunday, and I watched Jackson, who was the leader to start off Sunday, make a bogey, fall back. You got him, Strangler, whatever his name is. And you've got Bud, and then you've got your guy Hovland, which we'll get into, hanging in the circle. Sam Burns is in there for a little bit. He kind of falls back. I'm looking at like 1 stroke across everyone. I ended up picking Jackson for a couple $100 on prediction markets. He was like an 18% chance to win once he lost the lead. So it was the best buy. He fell back and lost, obviously, and Bud won, and I didn't make any money for the first time on a golf tournament in 7 episodes, which sucks. But happy to donate.
Coming off of the Disney expenditures too. You probably needed. You were hoping for a bet to start replenishing the coffer a little bit, but you've been on fire.
I made it up with the Knicks. I made it up with the Knicks. Did very well with the Knicks. Knicks would have done better if they won in 6, but that's a different show.
Dude, what I will say, like, first off, Canadian Open, I love national opens, right?
I thought it was great. I thought that didn't get nearly enough attention. I thought it was a really good event.
It's a great event, and like, what I enjoyed about it is that we've had so many tracks this year on the PGA Tour that I feel like has been getting eviscerated by the media, where it's like, hey, it's too easy, it's a birdie fest. Like, what I liked about TPC Toronto is that, yes, there were birdies out there, but there was also like doubles and triples out there. Guys were getting in trouble if you were going, if you're hitting into that native area. It was wild. Guys were catching flyers out of the fescue and then flying the green and going out of bounds. Like, there was stuff that I saw this weekend that like you don't normally see on the PGA Tour, that I was like, this tournament just rocks. And then the Canadians they're always super into it. I think it rotates. I don't know how many courses it rotates between, but like, I feel like every course that they do it at, always has an unbelievable crowd, and you always have this storyline of like, hey, is a Canadian going to win? Right? You had Nick Taylor win a couple of years ago on that 100-foot bomb against Fleetwood in the playoff that my cousin Kale still hasn't recovered from, after having a ton of money on Tommy at that Canadian Open. He's gonna like this shout out again. I think I've already done it once before, but I don't know. I just the storylines always deliver. Whether it was Nick Taylor doing it last year, Bobby Mack 2 years ago winning with his dad on the bag, and then this year Bud Cauley winning, after you said coming from just a horrific car accident, having to take a couple year break from the tour where I'm sure, in his camp, they probably were talking about him never returning to professional golf. So then, to come back in 2024 and then 2 years later, get the elusive victory and what I think is a big time tournament, right? Like, yeah, you didn't have all the stars there, but it's still a really good field, right? Still Matty Fitz was there, Hovland, who we're going to talk about here in a little bit, was there. So there were some blue chip guys, and he didn't go into Sunday with the lead. He had to go out there and win his first tournament. Um, I was laughing though because I, did you see Bud on 16? His tee shot on 16?
The off the grid one.
Yeah, so that someone referenced the Mito, like that reminded them of Mito Pereira on the 18th hole in the PGA Championship. I was like, oh my God, that was like exactly correct. But he got lucky with that and he ended up making par somehow. Just a baller, man. Just an unbelievable win.
Yeah, it's fun to see. And like I said, we've talked about this a couple episodes now, but the number of good storylines that are still evolving on the tour, and that there's so many different guys to watch and like and become fans of. And I think you're getting, it's weird because this is something other sports do so poorly. Part of it, I think, is that golf is you get to see their face. They're on tour. You spend 4 days watching them consecutively. It's not a game, 20 minutes, and then they're gone for 2 days and they're back on for 10 minutes. You're watching someone for on and off for 4 hours for consecutive days. You feel like you get to know them. You see them with their other, players and kind of friends and stuff. And I feel like you get a much better connection with golfers than other sports, but other sports have struggled when they lose their main superstar, or they don't have a Tiger, that they just, for whatever reason, have to manufacture one. And PGA, certainly, we've talked about it. They've tried to do this with Rory, and they try to do it with Scotty, and they're both equally great and also not Tiger. And one thing that it seems like they have very much embraced over the last, I would say, active over the last few months, is the storyline and the depth of field. And now they're even moving into talking about these younger guys who are coming up who are playing really well, and Jackson would be one of them. But some of the guys like I'm blanking on the dude's name, but it's not on Russell, who's not on tour yet. There's a handful of young dudes who are really potentially game-changing golfers. We're watching all of these different storylines, different people come in and do well and capture our attention. And I feel like for once the PGA Tour is starting to learn. Granted, Scotty wasn't in this, so maybe that's why, but they didn't hog the camera on just one or two. Koepka was a good story day one. He's got this hand issue, which we have to talk about now with the U.S. Open. That was a bet I made, and then he pulls out on Sunday with the hand. That would have been another storyline where it's like, holy shit, he's like ready to compete. And of course, what do we know? It's the U.S. Open, which is his tournament. So I just feel like we're starting to get to see. I mean, I wish, part of me wishes Scotty was dominating and in every tournament winning by 50 strokes or whatever, even though it wouldn't be good drama. It's not good drama, but I love having like somebody who's just ridiculous. Him being still ridiculous. He's taken like second and third in every tournament. Like, he's still ridiculous, but it's just not the dominating force. Has allowed us to meet 3 or 4 different golfers on a level that we never would have. It wouldn't, if Rye or even, Smalley or these guys, if they had like 1 or 2 good days, you might hear a little, but you wouldn't get to know them. You see what happens over a week, and I feel like these guys' storylines for better or worse.
No,
fuck
agreed.
Wyndham Clark though. I didn't need to get rid of.
Yeah, we've had a lot. We've had a lot of Wyndham the last month, and I appreciate that he's.
I have a conspiracy theory
going. I mean, I appreciate he's hot going into the U.S. Open, and he won at LACC a couple of years ago, so I'm sure he's going to be a trendy pick. I will not have him on my card, which we'll get into. But yeah, I'm with you. I think part of it, we've complained about some of the events because of how the schedule is broken out, where you've got signature events and you've got non-signature events, and then you've got the tournaments that unfortunately fall either the week before or week after a major, so you don't always get the greatest field. But the counter to that is your point, which you have an opportunity for a Bud Cauley, right? Or a JT Poston, even though JT Poston did it in an absolutely loaded field at the Memorial. But I just feel like we've gotten a really good string of winners this year. And a lot of the guys have had such a good story. And when you look at Cauley and, Gary Woodland back when he won
Yeah.
Houston,
That feels like it was
just
months ago, and it was, just a few tournaments ago.
yeah, it was just, I mean, what was that, March Madness, when we were hanging out in the city at that god awful intercontinental pool party. Ooh. Um, but like just awesome stories, and like when you don't have a Scotty running away with everything, you have different storylines that you can let breathe a little bit. And yeah, I thought the coverage yesterday was fantastic because at the start you had like 10 different guys that could have won, right? So you were kind of just they were bopping around the course versus just being like, oh, well, Scotty's in the final group or Rory's in the final group. We're just going to show 100% of their shots, and like we'll sprinkle in a couple of other shots along the way. But this is going to be the main focus. The entertainment and the TV product has been really good at some of these, less than huge events, which I've appreciated.
No, I agree. And like you noted, we have our own little heel. We have Wyndham. And Wyndham, my conspiracy theory is that we don't have a Bryson, so we have a Wyndham. You got to keep a Y, and you got to have an asshole. And he's Wyndham with a Y, and he's Bryson with a Y, and they're both annoying, and one of them's not going to make the cut this week. Again,
Ooh.
I'm gonna keep riding. He's my ride always, is the riding no cut made until he makes one.
What can
Show
we?
me the money.
Why is Bryson doing like the evil movie mustache? Like
Because
he's a villain.
fucking moron.
Like
He's a toddler.
He just looks weird. Like he's not a
He
mustache
is
guy. He
no,
is not a
look,
mustache.
it's
guy.
not even the mustache. I'm just gonna shit on it. And I actually admire and would love to invest in his YouTube channel, frankly.
Yeah, it might not happen after you say what you're about to say, but go ahead.
You know what? If he's the man that he portrays himself to be, he'll take honor in the fact that I have my own individuality and will be honest. He is that kid in high school, I'm going to say generally speaking, who moves in like your sophomore year, junior year, he's from out of town, probably from California, thinks he's fucking cool. Everyone's like, ooh, mysterious. The girls are all talking about this guy. He's cool. He's new, good-looking guy. And all the guys who run the high school are like, fuck this guy. Who's this guy? He shows up, and he is just as annoying as you figured. And the girls turn on him immediately because like, God, that guy sucks. That is him. Every school has him. Every friend group has the new entrant. I was probably that to you guys. The new entrant who comes in, and everyone's like, who the fuck is this guy?
We just haven't been able to quit you, Scott. We haven't.
That's because I just keep coming. I just keep coming. But no, he's that. Everyone has that guy in the front.
Scotty.
No one acquires it.
And I have acquired it. And I have acquired it.
I love to hear that. Well, the line is businesses are bought, not sold. That's kind of me. Businesses are bought, not sold. Bryson, he is that character. He's that person who has almost no self-awareness, thinks it's funny when it's terrible. He's the one that you got the kid who makes a joke in class and everyone laughs and it's perfect timing. And the guy who makes a joke 5 minutes later and you're like, God, you're a loser. That's him. And we could spend hours on this show talking about his reverse engineer. Like he was great. He's great for everything, I think, financially. He's great for making Live a foil, even though it really wasn't. It helped players. It helped himself. He turns into YouTube. It helps the PGA, helps all the PGA players get more money. Everything about Bryson's existence has actually been beneficial. It's just like watching a fucking train wreck in real time, because small bursts of him, it's like, oh, that's kind of different. And then it's entertaining. Now you have him back in the limelight. And I think it's one of the things that he's doing is trying to be a YouTube star, but he also wants to be a golf pro. But you have to win. You have to play in tournaments to compete in majors, as it turns out. And he's really struggling with, today I'm hitting the ball over the top of my house. Tomorrow I'm playing with some fat kid that sucks at golf. And the next day I'm playing in the major. And it's just not working. And I think one thing that, this is just the business side of this, but like one thing that I've noticed about him, and we're going to see it in full display at the US Open, the idea of Bryson is what makes a YouTube channel with Bryson seem amazing. And the fact that once a week there's like a thing, and then everything else you don't hear from him, you don't see him. When you have him all the time, the only thing you want is no more Bryson. And we have had too much Bryson. Now, lately we've been off on a break because of the gap in the majors he plays in. But prior to that, we had like
we talked about this last year, right? Like the reason that Bryson had to come up is because he went away for all intents and purposes, right? There were some funny clips that would come online, right?
It made you think maybe I was wrong about this guy.
Bodied by the rope, yeah, and then he became popular again because you were only getting him in very small tournament doses, right? Where it was 4 times a year. The Bryson storyline was kind of refreshing because it was like, oh yeah, like I haven't seen this guy in a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it was during that schedule. Like I'm actually looking forward to see, what weird shit he's implemented since the last time I saw him play and see how he attacks this major venue. Yeah, he's jumped the shark a little bit, right? Where now he's gotten too publicized. He's on too many YouTube channels, right? He's doing too much on the YouTube scene.
He's trying too hard.
He's trying too hard, right? And now we're oversaturated again on Bryson, where I don't have that excitement for him coming into Shinnecock. Like I'm on like the other spectrum like you are, where it's like, let's make some money off of him not making the cut because something clearly is not clicking. Like his success on Live is not translating to the big boy golf courses. It didn't translate at Augusta. It certainly didn't translate at Aronimink, and I don't think it's going to translate at Shinnecock.
I think he's an attention whore, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it's just like some people are and some people aren't. And we're going to pivot into the actual tournament here, and I'll use Bryson to do it. I think time will tell if he needs it to be cheers or jeers or doesn't care. But what he needs is attention, and he'll do anything for it. And I think he was getting it was not direct attention. It wasn't like, ooh, I want to watch you. It was like, ooh, I want to talk about you, or I want to talk about the $300 million this or the YouTube that. He wasn't getting the like golfer attention, and he's played like shit since, and he's missed cuts, and I obviously made money on that. And my gut is I want to bet on him to not make this cut again because I've seen nothing to show me that he can make the cut. But there's now attention on him again, and I think he's replaying his old tricks when he won majors and was like, hey, I'm the evil guy, and like all eyes on me. This is a course that he actually could kick ass at. Like he could. I mean, he hits the ball a freaking mile. He's going to have people talking shit. If he wears that stupid mustache, he's definitely going to have people talking shit. And I think he'll enjoy it. It's like I'm so split where like I would put my money on him not making the cut because I think it's good business. But I also would not be surprised at all if he contended, and was really awesome. And you're like, holy shit, there's Bryson. And I don't actually think it's going to happen personally, but I could see it.
I think a better chance. And like, do you really want to, you called it for fantastically, right? It's like, do you want to keep betting that to happen when he's already had 2 stinkers in the majors? I don't know, but
has he? But there's been a gap in time. Has he worked on his game that whole time, or has he been doing YouTube? Because the reason I felt like he was off was he was playing other things. He was. I do
know that he just had 2 different videos with Bob Does Sports drop in the last 5 days. If that tells you anything.
And he had a new driver, by the way, in that. He had a tailor-made driver in the last one. And he also switched to Bettinardi wedges during that same period of time. While we're on the gear subject, I promise this is the last thing before we hop into Shinnecock. This just got interesting. Everyone knows this by now that I do lab. I like lab. I've been on a lab putter since 2023. The new one's not for me, but whatever. I like the zero torque theory. I'm a shitty putter, so it makes sense to me. I just missed this. I completely forgot about the go low. I remember it now, but I completely forgot in 2012, Scotty Cameron introduces this center shafted go low, which is not a zero torque, but it is a low torque, which to date, Scotty Cameron has not released any zero torque. They're all low torque. For those who think they're zero torque, they're not. They're low torque because he believes that the hands need to be able to let go at the end and needs to have toe hang. He thinks it's fundamental to putting stroke one way or another. Whether you agree or not, he'd just tell you you're not a Scotty, don't buy Scotty putters if you don't agree. I suck. So I try to take everything I can out of the putting stroke to try to make a putt. For me, Lab has been great. But pros practice a lot. You see Lab on tour for guys who are really bad, but like generally speaking, if you're a good stroke, but you have bad alignment or you're bad time, whatever the case, JJ Spawn types, you see their career do better with a Lab. You see a few of them. For the most part, you see a lot of spiders. You see guys who have taken elements of the putting game out, but are not zero torque. Ricky Fowler has been quoted on 4 plays, been quoted on no laying up. He's been on a handful of places talking about how he had to go back in his basement and search out this 2013 Scotty Golo that he got. And he brought it on tour. He's had it on tour now for half the season. Woodland is the same deal. Now Cauley wins strokes gained by a record pace on Sunday, well, the whole week. But Sunday, he's repping the Scotty Cameron 2013 mid Golo. And it kind of made me think, for all those who are listening to this who also think about golf clubs, which I sold a Spider zero torque at Golf Galaxy to a guy I went to high school with, not working there. He was just checking out putters and I was just answering questions for him, and he ended up buying it, and he's like, you should work here. I was like, maybe if the podcast doesn't work out.
When are they sending you your commission for that one, Scotty?
All $15, make it out to cash, homie. So
just a store credit, I think, is all you need, to be honest.
I think that's fair. Or just give me another 15% sign up discount again, that would be great too. But the point I'm trying to make is we love new things so much that we sort of like anoint them. And I do believe that Lab is unique in their lie angle balance, which again is not the same thing as just zero torque. It's lie angle balance and zero torque makes it a unique club. This has also been on the recent podcast circle, and I forget the person. I wish I could give them credit, but I don't remember their name right now. The origin of the 34 and 35 inch, 33 inch putter only stems back to making sure that the grip touches the bottom of the golf bag. There's no player whatever on it. Rahm, all the other major players use 36, 36 and a half, 35 and a half, 37 inch putters. We in retail, for the existence of time, have used the 34 or 35 inch putter is stock at a store. I started using 36, 37 counterbalanced, and I putt, and that's like half of my putting improvement is just a better angle. And it's so funny to me that Lab, for if there's nothing else about zero torque, Lab introduced the golf sicko community to a new club that we get to tailor and customize, just like everything else we've all grown, wedges and drivers and everything else. And the putter is no different, which is why now a putter costs $550 to $800, which is fucking crazy.
Insane.
But it goes back to the humor that we're all acting like this is a brand new thing that no one's ever seen before. And here in 2012 and 2013, Scotty Cameron had a center shafted low torque putter that does everything that we're talking about. And it just didn't catch on at that time. The right player didn't want to play a center shaft, whatever the reason, it didn't take off. And now we've entered a world where Lab kicked the door open. Weird putters are cool. Spiders, ugly as shit, but everyone loves it. And now it's okay to have a weird putter. And it's like, we literally could have done this 12 years ago. Like, this is not new technology. It's not new thought. It's just repackaged and marketed better.
But that's why he's Scotty Cameron. He knew what you needed before anyone realized that's what they needed.
That said, Sam Hahn and the folks at Lab Golf, please come sponsor this show, because I actually do believe if you're a putter who has if your hands are part of your putting, you're probably not very good. And if that's part of your problem, a lab putter will take care of that problem. If everything else about you is good and you're just not aligned well, stroke isn't good or whatever, it's not going to make a difference probably. But if hands is a problem, it'll get you out. Either way, I just thought it was worth noting that our last tournament was won, and we've been talking about Fowler and Woodland in this conversation and others. Guys who've had really good putting seasons are all rolling a 2013 Scotty Cameron Golo 7 S1 Tour prototype, to be specific.
Pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
And the other guys who are doing really well are either rolling a Spider or some form of a Lab. Blades are more or less out right now. And it's an interesting observation, since we're talking about gearheads. And I know people listening to this show also like to buy gear like I do. So
Well, since you're the
Food for
putting
thought.
guru, did has Ludwig switched out the putter that he was using at the PGA Championship? Do we know
He was
that?
playing with a couple ones. I know Brooks Koepka did. He's playing. I
I
thought
think
he
he
didn't.
went
He
to
move
a, I
to a
think he
mallet,
went
didn't
to
he?
I think he went to a mallet, and I hope he did for but until I can confirm that, I can't touch him ever again.
I'm
But
pretty sure he did. Yeah, I mean, he's what we talked about last show. He's on our never win a major, who wins a major first list. And it's weird to say that because he's just so freaking talented, but it just
I don't think it's
yeah,
happening this year. So let's get into Shinnecock, but I don't think
do
it's
it.
happening this
Lead the
year.
way. Speaking of guys that we've been riding for a long time, looking for a major this season, you have one. Let's lead the way with Shinnecock and how it's going to look this year. And for those that aren't familiar with the course, give us the rundown, Joe.
Yeah. So one of New York's most famous courses, right? It's hosting the US Open for the sixth time, most recently in 18 when Kepka won, actually over par. I still remember Kepka fist bumping a bogey on hole 11 on that Sunday. That's how hard those conditions were, is that he sunk like a 20-footer for bogey and went nuts like it was a birdie. Um it's a course that is going to demand a lot, right? So par 70, you've only got two par fives, around 7,400 yards. So think a little bit longer than Aronimik. Front nine is the harder of the two nines. There is no protection to wind, right? So if the wind is going to be howling, which by the latest forecast, it looks like the rain is out, wind is going to be there. It's going to be very firm. Um, you're going to have some challenging scoring conditions on the back, so you got to take advantage a little bit on the front. I mean, they're pretty even. Um, Between the front and the back, it kind of looks like two completely different golf courses, with the back nine having all of the hills and undulations, which is where you finally get, you're playing the front nine and you're not quite sure why it's called Shinnecock Hills. You will figure that out on the back nine. Um, what you're going to see is um, some greens and slick grass, right? So bet POA ride. It's going to be very fast. You're going to need to see a lot of scrambling. You're going to have angled fairways, so it's going to be some interesting tee shots where it's certainly not going to be straight on for the pros. They're going to have to angle, and yes, you're going to have to hit it a long way, but you're going to have to hit it in the right place. I think we're going to see a lot of long putts like we saw at Aronimik. Um, the horses that we kind of always talked about, right? You're going to see here, right? Who's going to be gaining shots off the tee, shots gained approach, particular from longer, because if the wind is howling, even though it's not a super long course, you're going to have long shots into the greens. And like we always see at a US Open or an Open Championship, shots gained scrambling and around the green, because I don't anticipate guys hitting a ton of greens in regulation. So when you're not hitting those greens in regulation, it's going to be who can get up and down, who can save par, who can minimize those big shots. Because in doing the research on Shinnecock, there's doubles everywhere on this course. Literally every hole you can double, which is going to make for a highly entertaining gambling and TV product for all of us out there, but I think it's gonna be super stressful for the players.
We've talked about it a lot. Elite ball striker, controlled trajectory into the wind. We've had this on several courses this year. Precise iron play approach, all that, strokes gained matters. It always does. That's like always the recipe to win. I think this is a course where, again, depending on how the weather plays out, but let's assume it's like typical. Um, Bombers who are boomer busts are going to have your best shot. The bomber and if none of them have it on, then you're going to probably see a winner that is surprising and is not what you figured. I think personally the two things that I'm going to look at all game, all week, because as you know, like I love I like putting bets like you do weeks ahead on a major, but then I love to ride like the cut line, and I love to ride Sunday on live prediction markets, whether that's Kalshi, Robinhood, Pie Market, whatever. Um, the two things I'm going to watch from everyone is lag putting and discipline. The individual golfers who I know for better or worse, lock into a decision and they ride it. They don't question it. They just do it. And if it doesn't work out, fuck it. They keep moving. You said blind shots on angled fairways, long sloped greens. You have to commit to shots where you can't totally see where it's going to end. And those are the kind of shots, especially as they get further out, where if a double is to be had on every single hole and you decide to split the difference, you will be the guy with the double. And so those who are disciplined enough to avoid the double and say, nope, this isn't a shot I could make, laying up, get up and down, get a bogey, whatever, get the hell out of Dodge. Those who are able to lock in and make the shots, commit to it, and stick with it will ultimately be at the top of the leaderboard. And those who are making lag, not making, because that doesn't make sense, but like having good lag putts, those who all week long can get around the cup, if they have a couple fall in, that will be the difference between a winner and a loser in this tournament. So as I'm betting and I'm watching, I'm looking to see the Morikawas of the world. Are they able to be disciplined? He's disciplined, generally speaking. The Sam Burns, I know people are off on, he's playing really well, so I don't know why you're off on him, but people are off on him for this tournament because of the course. And I think that he's an incredible putter. And if he's around the greens, he's going to be in good shape. We're going to talk about your guy Hovland here in a second, because he can fuck up in the most insane ways. But if I had to say there was anything about a person who's disciplined, he is that. He chooses the route and he runs it, even if you're like, what are you doing, man? Tinkering away. He is definitely disciplined. So let's talk about
let's go to Burns really quick. I don't understand people being off on him. I really don't, right?
I put money on him as top 5 at this tournament. I put money on him to win, also small money.
The only concerning thing with him is that he keeps putting himself into contention, and he doesn't have a whole lot. He's got a lot to show for it in his bank account and with FedEx Cup points, but he's not winning, but he continues to put himself into contention. And I go back to Oakmont last year. No one was on Burns last year. He should have won Oakmont last year. The rain delay happened. He got really an unfortunate break after that rain delay where, he had a ball that was like in sitting water, had to play it. And Spawn won that. But Burns contended there. He contended at the Memorial. Contended at the Canadian. He's just been too consistent and too good to discount him. I think he's long enough to play this course, right? I think he's strategic enough to do it. The only thing I worry about with him is that I think everyone just had in their head he's the best putter on the PGA Tour because he was leading shots gained putting for a long time, and he's still in the top 10. I think he's number 6. It just, for whatever reason, it just seems that putting abandons him a little bit when the pressure ramps up on a Sunday. But I have no doubt that he's going to be up there on Sunday. And it's just, do you have a ticket on him finally that Sunday where it clicks, right? And he gets the break that he hasn't gotten previously, or he makes the 10-footer on a Sunday on the back 9 that he's missed the last couple of weeks. What you got to love about him, though, is that he's got the reps. He's just, he's been in contention so much the last, pretty much the last 3 months of the season that I think that those reps are really going to come in handy for him. And I love him this week. I think he's a top 10 bet for sure. Sprinkle him to win. His odds have come down, right? I think he's down to 37, 38 to 1, but I think that's the books, and that's the handicappers telling you that they like what they've seen. He's put on really good tape the last 6 weeks.
I agree. I like him best for where is he finished at on Saturday? I think that's a great bet. So I think he'll be awesome. We'll see on Sunday. Like I said, I put money on him to be a top 10 and a win just because the odds were not negative. They weren't 33 at the time. It was much better. It was before Brooks put it in on, I think, Saturday. But in general, I like where he's playing. I think the list of guys that are worth talking about, Brooks Koepka, we have to talk about. I had him. I have a ticket on him to win it all. I know that that's probably not going to happen. This was, again, before the hand injury. This might be the first time that I've ever put a bet down on someone to win a tournament and also miss the cut in the same tournament. That's kind of how I feel. If his hand is a real thing, then he's probably not going to make the cut. I wouldn't be surprised. And if he doesn't really have an issue and it was just too much coke or whatever the night before and he can't feel his fingers, uh, hopefully he doesn't do that here. And he plays really well and I make a bunch of money. I think he won at Shinnecock last time. He's got all the different attributes we just talked about. He's very focused. I think he really gives a shit. His putter is working. It's not his, biggest asset, but it is absolutely working. So I really like Brooks Koepka if his hand is not messed up. Things that are worth mentioning. I'm going to leave Tommy Fleetwood for you because I have thoughts on that. Fuck Patrick Reed. Tony Finau, he's too streaky, no idea. Xander Schauffele tied for 6th last time, 2018 at Shinnecock. He's got 5 top 10s in 26, no wins, 5 to 10. He is a put in the top 10 lock machine. Fitzpatrick is another one that we've done this many, many weeks in a row. He rode him most of the season, 3 wins this year. He's already won a U.S. Open, so he's used to playing tough. He's still playing well. He played well last week. He top 12 at Shinnecock in 2018, so I think he can do it again here. He would be a top 5 pick for me. If I was doing my betting card right now, I'm putting him in a top 5 pick. And we have not heard a lot about the guy that we talked about for almost half the season, winning everything, even putting him in the Mount Rushmore, Cam Young. And there's always Tommy Fleetwood, who took 2nd last time the U.S. Open was at Shinnecock in 18. He shot a 63 final round there. He won the FedEx, but for whatever reason, he just cannot win tournaments. So you tell me, on the scorecard, where are you at? What's your your top 5, your cut? Where's your card? Because my card seems chalky-ish. It seems like on par with all of my picks this year.
It's a major, so you're gonna be chalky on it.
I didn't say Scotty Scheffler, and he's going for the Slam. So that's the first time I've done off on Scotty for a while.
But I know you're going to bet him. You'll find a way at some point during the tournament.
Yeah, Sunday with an hour left when he wins in a playoff. I'll take all the money.
I don't like with Cam Young. It's ever since you called that out where he had that. I can't remember what tournament where he had the yet, right, where he literally yipped a 3-foot putt. And then he did the same thing at the PGA Championship. I think his putting is what's going to be what I stay away from this week. Obviously, he's still uber talented, but until you feel really good about how he's putting it, it's hard to put him down for a U.S. Open, especially with how many inside 10 feet putts you're likely going to have to save par. So I'm gonna keep him off the card. His odds, like they also haven't fallen that much where I get excited about taking him. I think he's at like 21 to 1, which like is good, not great. Fleetwood is at 24 to 1. He keeps hanging around. I mean, dude, you thought he was gonna hanging around.
He's got alligator blood.
Like I'm just waiting for him after he won the Tour Championship. I think everyone expected him to just come on tour this year. And now that he's got the monkey off of his back, to just kind of kick the door down and start winning big tournaments. And it just hasn't happened. Memorial, he eagles 16, takes the lead. You're like, oh, Tommy's going to win the Memorial, which is a monster tournament. Doesn't win the Memorial. Goes into final round yesterday in Toronto, and you're like, all right, he's almost won the RBC before. He's going to do it. I don't know. There just seems to be something missing. I think he's very safe to play as a top 10 because of his course history at Shinnecock. Like you said, shooting a 63 last time around. He just doesn't seem to be able to win a big tournament. So I'm not going to have him to win, but I definitely see him on the card. I'm going to stay away from Ludwig. My long shot that I texted you on Saturday, my first U.S. Open bet that I made was on Victor Hovland. We talked about Hovland like a month ago, and at that time I said I felt a big win coming, and I was just going to bet him every tournament. He proceeded to look like he had never played golf before. I think the tournament after I said that. So I got off of Victor Hovland, but all he needs to show me is a little bit that there's a pulse, that whatever he has been tinkering with seems to be working. And I certainly saw enough Saturday and Sunday from him in Toronto. He was fantastic on the weekend, hitting every fairway. the strength of his game is always going to be his long irons. I think that's why he's done really well at major championships before. I think his long irons are going to be something that carries him this week. Like you and I talked about, I don't know if we mentioned it on the show yet. His short game is what scares you, right? Not his putting. When his putting catches fire, which it did this weekend, he made multiple 20+ foot putts. Everything looked good there. It's his chipping around the green, but he did very well at Oakmont last year. He was solo third. He had a real chance of winning that tournament. And I don't know. I just feel like Victor always contends at one major a year. He hasn't contended at the first two. So I think he's going to contend at either the U.S. Open or the Open. I'm betting that it happens at the U.S. Open. I took him at 76 to 1. You can still get him at 50 to 1. It is a long shot, but if he can scramble, I think he can certainly get out. He's long enough off the tee, and he's good enough on those shots gained approach 200 plus. Those are the two attributes that you look at. I think the putter's hot. Let's just hope that he can scramble enough.
Who is the player, if you had to pick one that everyone is on that you think is, I'm not just going to say a fade, because I can tell you, like, obviously Bryson and not that he's even hot, but like Jon Rahm, is that somebody who people, he's got good odds, but that's because he's Jon Rahm. He looked great last major we saw. So, he looked like shit before that. Shane Lowry's another one. Everyone's always looking at Shane Lowry here. Colin Morikawa's got the back. There's a couple of guys here you could make the argument for. It just, I said Xander earlier too. I think you could fade him. I'm not totally sure he's.
I don't think Xander's gonna win. I think Xander's kind of.
That's why he's a top 10 lock.
I think Xander's the guy that everyone looks at. He's had a lot of U.S. Open success without a win. So I think people are naturally gravitating to the fact that, Xander's kind of going under the radar. Well, he's 17 to 1. I think he's the third favorite. That's really not under the radar. I don't think he's going to win. A guy that people are on that I do think has a legitimate chance of winning. We're going back to our boy Fitzy, right? That's a guy that
I put him in my top 5 for this because he's all the things add up. He's won a U.S.
Dude, if you look at all of like the metrics that you want to look at for this tournament, he's in like the top 10 of all of them, right? So there's just too many indicators on Fitz. He had a pretty like stress-free second place yesterday where like, that's perfect. I don't want the guy to win the week before the major, but I want him to contend, make sure that it looks like he's clicking on all cylinders. So that's the guy at the top of the leaderboard, right? I think he's the 5th or 6th favorite that I like, that I'm going to play and not fade. Out of the top guys to fade, like I'm not going to fade Scotty. Like I'm not going to put him on there, but I absolutely see him winning. Same thing with Rory. Rory's just been, I don't know, dude. He's kind of just disappeared since the Masters. Like I know he's played in some tournaments, but he hasn't been all that relevant. Like he was stuck in neutral the last time that we saw him at the PGA Championship. I still think he's got something going on with his back. So don't love him. Don't love Rahm either. I think everyone now thinks that Rahm has figured out the majors because of Aronimik. Him at 10 to 1 is insane. I know he's won a U.S. Open before, but I need to see more consistency before I'm putting him on a winning ticket. So like between Rory and Rahm, 2 of the 3 favorites, I would say they're not going to win. So I'm not going to put that same distinction on Scotty, but even those 3, Rory, Rahm, Xander, like there's not enough value on their odds to say, yeah, I'm gonna put 200 on that, because you need to put 200 on those guys to even have a little bit of juice on it. And I wouldn't lay it with any 3 of those guys. I'd rather lay it on Fitz, Hovland that we talked about, Burns a little bit further down the line. I mean, the fact that Cantlay is still getting respect in majors, he's at 46 to 1, is absolutely insane. The guy is not going to win. I'm going to stay away from Team Rose this time around. I'll come back to him for the Open Championship, but I did bet him at the Memorial. He actually played really well, but missed the cut at the Canadian. His putting was bad at the Memorial, so that's a stay away for me. And another guy I would throw a little bit of money on is Kurt Kitayama. The guy
Always. I'm
is
always good for a Kitayama top 20 is like the
listen,
lock of the bets every week. Every other week you get it.
he is gaining strokes off the tee. I think in his last 6 tournaments, he also had the low round at Aronimink. Shot a fucking 63 on Sunday. So that's a guy that at 72 to 1, that's worth a little sprinkle for me. No one else. I don't know. Do you have anyone that's like further down the list that you like? I mean,
I
there's
think
not
Adam
anyone
Scott
that's
is
really
always
jumping.
worth a poke.
Yeah, well,
because
you and
he's
me
hitting the
are
ball.
always going to say that. Yeah, I like.
Yeah, but he's
I
down the
love
list
him.
and he's not being treated with respect here.
No, you're right. You're right. 76 to 1. And he, again, we keep going back to Oakmont because we're talking Hovland and we're talking Sam Burns. Adam Scott was in the mix up until back 9 of Sunday at Oakmont. The other guy, Scotty, I want your opinion on this because, you know, this is the live thing. We forget about him. Cam Smith, 150 to 1. He can't, his problem is the driver. He can't keep the driver on the planet. But these are a little bit wider fairways. Granted, they're going to be fast and firm and they're going to run out, so he could still get himself in trouble. But if he figures out the driver, who would you trust more with scrambling and putting than Cam Smith? Like, go back to him
like
at
you're
St.
looking
Andrews.
over my shoulder, Joe.
Like,
Cam Smith is my sneaky pick of the week. That's my sneak. I didn't even put it on the card for you. Cam Smith is my sneaky pick because he's a person who, you know, like speaking of live, like Hatton, the shortcoming of the driver being wayward, not distance, to me at this course, you're okay. So long as a couple of holes you don't make those mistakes. He has every other part of the game. And I'm going to use this. We talked about him now twice, Fitzpatrick. He is the archetype to win at this tournament. Penal course disciplined, great iron play, disciplined, knows, you know, course control, putting control, great lag putting, field, tee to green,
unbelievable putting. Well, dude, I just go back, Scott. If you that's
Cam
Sunday,
Smith without
I know,
driver.
but his Sunday at Aronimink, when they were finally showing his shots, you're like, oh fuck, Cam Smith is like actually like in contention here, and it was so enjoyable to watch him play golf again because it had been a couple years. Every tee shot, he was out of position at Aronimink, and that's not, as you saw, that's not a course that you want to be out of position at. He had a stretch of like 10 straight pars where he was driving the ball again off the planet and just scrambling his ass off, figuring out a way to get on the green and either make like a 8 to 12 footer for par, or, you know, sneak in a 20 footer for par. Like, his putting was great, his scrambling was great. Anytime you're at a US Open or an Open, I think if you're getting those odds on Cam Smith, who has the pedigree that he has, he's a major champion. He's also won the Players. At one point in time, he was the number 2 player in the world. He contended at the last major, and you're giving me 150 to 1 odds on him? Come on now. Sprinkle. Maybe even more than a sprinkle. Maybe even
Smith
more than
is
a sprinkle.
Wind Wizard and a lag putter. And I just talked about discipline, lag, and Wind Wizard, and that's what we have. I want to build the card for people, and I'm going to hand off the Father's Day prep here because we got it coming up. Let me build the card for people, and just a little recap. I'm with you on the Hovland pick. And mostly, I love his game. We've been riding him and getting fucked all year, so like that's not new. I like the odds. I bought him the same time you did. I went on prediction market. I got him for a top 5 at 10 cents, which to me was a steal. I put 1,000 contracts on him. I'm not riding him on the win, but I am riding him top 5, which to me is like basically the win. You got him on the win. That's our top, great value, very high potential to win. Another thing that, you know, we were talking about this, but another thing, FanDuel now has, switching gears to FanDuel now has some of these like second and third and fourth chances to win picks, where it will let you pick basically pre-selected Scotty, Rory, Rahm, and, you know, Cam Young, or whatever the case may be. I think that's the worst pick on the planet. You talked about this a couple minutes ago, but I'm just reiterating. I really don't see it coming from that group. I think Scotty Scheffler has probably the best chance to do it of that group. Rory could, obviously you can make the argument for every one of these guys why they could win it. It just doesn't seem like they're on the game that they want to win. One guy I know is not going to do shit is Robert McIntyre. I don't know why. I just don't feel it for him. That's one of the only names we didn't talk about. If I wanted to build the card, though, I think my lock to make the cut, you said it, Kurt Kitayama. My bets to miss the cut, I don't feel conviction here. Every week I have a lock to miss that I really feel convicted on. This one I don't. I'm going more just with read the room. It's the first time, like I said, I've ever put money down on someone to win and miss the cut. I'm putting it in on Brooks because to win, the odds are fucking phenomenal. And to miss the cut, they're actually pretty good too, because he's the repeat champ, but the hand is a question mark, so we don't know, right? So that and Bryson for the same reason. I could see that he maybe has worked on his game, but as you said, it didn't look like it. So those are my two to miss the cut. When I look at my top 20s, I think that Sam Burns and our old friend Russell Henley are just like sure shit fire can't miss on these. And I think that in my top 10, as I stated already, it's very hard to bet against Xander. You know, if I could just pick a number, I actually bet I'm putting money he'll be top 10, but I actually think he'll finish 12th if there's a bet on that. He's going to finish 12th.
The exact. I like the exact.
He's tied for 12th. And in my top 10, top 5, it has to be Fitzpatrick, and he would be my overall pick to win if I was picking not about odds, not about money, just who I personally think is the person who's best fit to win at this course at this time. I think it's Matt Fitzpatrick. I think he's going to win another major, and he's had a hell of a year, and it would set it off to me. That's my picks. I'm probably not spending much time on Cam.
No, but Cam Smith, giddy up.
Cam Smith is my long shot dart pick because I think he's got all the game and all the value. That is to me the
ton of value.
When we recap after Father's Day, after the U.S. Open for the next week, I have a feeling we're going to talk about I'm going to Disney again, and this time it's on Cam Smith.
He's sponsoring it.
Sponsored by Cam Smith.
Crazy stat to end for our listeners here. 8 out of the last 10 U.S. Open winners have been first-time major winners who are above average drivers of the golf ball. Kind of nuts, right? And the two non-first timers are Brooks and Bryson, whose only other major at the time was a U.S. Open. So like, there's some wonky stuff that's happened, and it's not like no-name guy. I would say Spawn and Clark at the time were no-name guys, but the other guys on this list, Fitzpatrick, Rahm, Bryson, Woodland, Brooks, DJ, right? Like at the time of their first one, non-major winner, really good driver of the golf ball. Couple golfers that fit this that we've talked about, Hovland and Burns.
And so Fitzpatrick, because it's a repeat.
It's a repeat, correct. So they would fall into the Bryson.
So if you
bingo.
If you listen to nothing else on this podcast, you are Hovland, you are Sam Burns, and you're Matthew Fitzpatrick.
And Cam Smith. Throw Cam Smith in that Mount Rushmore.
That's a great Cam Smith to me is a good top 5. If you put him in a 1 to win it because, whatever, like go for it. But he's a top 5 machine if he's on it at all. I love him here.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, after this, we will catch up again next week. We'll talk about the No Strokes Cup. I have a tournament golf group that we're going out to Forest Dunes. I'll give you the recap, but I bought a beautiful No Strokes Cup trophy from Trophy Smack. We're going to give it to a winner. I'll show everybody you can follow us on the Twitters or the Instagram at Katoon or Venmo Joe, and I'll share a picture of it. Excited about that. That's also Father's Day weekend, which means Sunday we come home and watch Sunday of the U.S. Open. I cannot wait to catch up with you next week and see
Scott,
how
I'm really proud of you that you've now moved your golf trip from Mother's Day weekend to Father's Day weekend. That was a smart move.
See, I don't know what to do.
I don't know how you were getting away with the Mother's Day golf trip weekend, but I'm glad you've moved it to Father's Day.
You know how I keep winning. I keep winning in all of our golf tournaments. I keep winning our golf odds. I make enough money, I pay for Disney. That's how.
Well, I can't wait to see the trophy, and thank you for the hat. I am repping the No Strokes golf hat. I love it. I got a compliment on the first work meeting that I joined today. Someone was like, "Ooh, what is that? What club is that? What club is that?" I'm like, "It's a podcast. No Strokes."
It's my podcast. I'm Venmo Joe.
Ben Mojo.
All right,
Baby.
man.
All
We'll
right.
talk to you next week, buddy. Good luck on your
Hey,
betting.
happy Father's Day, my friend.
You too. See
See
you,
ya.
bud.